Once a watering hole in the desert, is now considered the entertainment capital of the world. One of the West's fastest growing metropolis areas, Las Vegas attracts nearly 12 million visitors a year. It's the city that never sleeps. And today, the site for the final stop on the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. Live. ABC Sports presents the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. Today, the finals of the $110,000 Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. Let's meet our 5 teams vying for the $22,000 first prize. In 5th place, the team of Pete Weber and Mark Fahy. In 4th place, Mike Durbin and Gil Sliker. In 3rd place, Joe Berardi and Jeff Morin. In 2nd place, Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson. And our leaders, the 2 great Hall of Fame bowlers, Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. The Showboat Hotel, one of the first major hotels to open in this great city, is the site today for live coverage of the $110,000 Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. And ladies and gentlemen, here at this entertainment complex, total of 106 lanes, our championship pair ready for our live coverage of the PBA Doubles Classic. Today you get 2 for the price of 1, because this is team play. There are 5 teams, 2 professional bowlers on each team, but our format is the same as we've been doing for 20 years. The number 5 team will meet the number 4 in the first game. The winner to meet number 3, the winner of that against number 2, and then finally against the tournament leader. In this case, it happens to be Earl Anthony, and normally our colleague on the telecast, Nelson Burton Jr. And as always, when Nelson makes the telecast as a bowler, we bring in the legendary Dick Weber from St. Louis, Missouri. Dick and Ray Bluth won 4 national doubles championships, so Dick, you know about the teamwork and the strategy involved.
Well, there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of strategy on the part of the team. The pressure part is the individual wants to bowl good for his partner and bowl on the lane that they're going to pick here and bowl the best. And for instance, Nelson Burton will bowl on the right lane and Earl Anthony on the left lane because that's the way they want it and that's the way they hit the lane the best. That's the strategy part. The pressure is always there to help out the individual bowler.
There's a little difference between the number 1 team, Anthony and Burton, and the number 5 team today.
Well, yes, since I'm an odds maker now in Las Vegas, the odds are even with Burton and Anthony. But they're always in sporting events, there's always a sentimental favorite. And there seems to be a sentimental favorite in the 5th spot, if I'm not mistaken, and it's Weber-Fahy combination. And so I have to pick the sentimental favorite to win the tournament today.
Sentimental because Pete Weber and his wife Dee Dee this week made this man and his lovely wife grandparents for the 3rd time. We look forward to your commentary.
Thanks very much.
Dick Weber. So, in this $110,000 event, let's look at the way the purse is broken down in our live coverage of the finals. $22,000 to the winning team here in Las Vegas. 12 for 2nd, 8 for 3rd, 7 for 4th, and in 5th place, $6,000. Stay tuned. Live coverage. The first match, Weber-Fahy, Durbin Sliker. Coming up next.
It's the white.
The scene is the Showboat Lanes, and you see our 2 teams, number 5 on the left, Weber and Fahy. They'll be going against Sliker and Durbin. The winner advances, as we said a little bit earlier, and instead of individual play, this is doubles play. Now, Dick Weber shooting first for the number 4 team, the veteran and many-time winner, Mike Durbin.
Yes, Chris, and this is the lane that Mike Durbin has chosen to bowl on all of his frames. Going a little bit high, leaving that 9-10 split, which is not really an easy split, according to the lane condition they've had this week.
So, of course, the teammate sitting on the bench or on the chairs here, just hoping that the teammate at work, and this is Gil Sliker, whom you're looking now, that Mike Durbin can convert here in the very first frame. No, just missed the 9, so it's an open. And getting up now for the number 5 team One of the largest bowlers on the tour, and he's Pete Weber's partner here today, Mark Fahy, at 215 pounds. He's a 23-year-old professional from Chicago.
And just one nice fella, too, Chris.
Former Golden Gloves heavyweight boxer, Mark Fahy, leaving the 10-pin on the right lane.
And you'll notice that Mark uses a little hesitation on his push away, and then he'll get a great, strong backswing with a crisp follow-through, and that's how he gets such a heavy roll on the ball.
And his cross-lane shot comes up and solidly hits the 10-pin here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas. We are live. And now, 18-year-old Pete Weber. He is coming up for the first time in our Doubles Classic Finals. He was on our telecast last year. First time this year. Pete finished 4th in the Long Island Open. Sporting News Rookie of the Year. Delightful guy. You have a great son there, Richard.
Like he's old man, right?
Sure. Oh, and Pete comes up with a high hit, and, well, you see the result. It's a 4, 6, 7, 10. What do you do here, Dick?
Well, from Dad's point of view, he threw that ball awful slow, and he was trying to be a little bit too careful with it. But he should go for the 2 pins and try to bounce the one of the pins out of the pit to carry the other 2 if possible.
And the young man with one of the highest backswings in all of bowling, 18-year-old Pete Weber. So actually here now, after marking with a spare Mark Fahy, an open frame for the Fahy Weber team, and up for the first time today is the other half of the Durbin Sliker team. Gil Sliker, 30 years old, from Washington, New Jersey. All right, a big hit for Gil Sliker and his teammate. You saw just gave him the modern-day handshake for a job well done.
Might note, Chris, that Gil Sliker is the only one on the foursome here that is using a soft rubber ball. All the rest of the fellas are using a hard or medium soft plastic ball.
Last time up, excuse me, Durbin left the 9. A very light pocket hit, but there is a big double for that number 4 team, Dick Weber, and quickly out to a 15-pin lead as we see the shot replayed.
Yeah, they're a good mixing ball, mixing the pins around. You know, Mike is the only one on the tour that has used a 3, 4, and a 5-step delivery and one with all.
Marking with a spare now in the 3rd frame for his team. Crossing over. Oh, yes, he's good at that. Mark has done that often out here on the tour, and of course his partner Pete Weber loved it. Now remember, they're shooting for a $22,000 first prize, and it's the first time in the 20 years that we have covered the PBA Doubles Classic. So the combined scoring of the 2 bowlers, 1 game will be the total score. In other words, the same as an individual would bowl a single game. Oh, the young man ran that one out. And so they're answering back, showing that they're made of the stuff that makes champions, and now with a pair of doubles.
At Denny's.
They're smiling but disappointed. The alternates, they finished 6th. Wayne Webb on the right of Tucson, Arizona, and Mike Albee of Indianapolis, Indiana, finishing 6th.
Might note, too, Chris, that Mike Albee really had his problems here this week. And by the way, he won his PBA National Championship here against Earl Anthony when he was 19. But he had his problems this week. Now
from Washington, New Jersey, of the Durbin Sliker team, Gil, with a very short approach, goes to the line. Has a high hit, and unlike Pete, the 10-pin went out, leaving the 4, 6, 7.
And he did the same thing that Pete did. He let up on that ball a little bit, and when we let up on the ball will snap at the end and go to that nose quickly, and you see the results. Bad.
All right, and we're getting some open frames here in our very first game at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas. Mike Durbin, Chagrin Falls, Ohio. So that's the way to come back after an open frame, and we see it so often. So now up to the other team is hefty 6-footer Mark Fahy.
And right here is when the team really wants to put the pressure on, because now they can take advantage of the opening that Durbin and Sliker had and take about a 20-pin lead.
Got that double working for them now. The number 5 team. So they have a 3-bagger. And Pete Weber is up and can extend it to 4. Coming up here in the 6th frame now of our first game. The winner of this match will meet Joe Berardi and Jeff Morin. The winner of that game, Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson. And then the winner of the semifinal will go against our tournament leaders, Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. The young men. 30-year-old Gil Sliker is up, and his teammate, of course, is the veteran at 40 years of age, Mike Durbin, winner of 8 PBA titles. Oh, and they needed that one.
That's a bad break there, Chris.
8-pin, they were going for a double. They needed it.
Let's take a look at Gil Sliker's footwork here, and you'll notice it's very slow and very deliberate, nicely paced. But one thing that he does wrong is end up too far behind that foul line. He extends the length of that bowling lane and makes it more difficult.
Gil Sliker has averaged winning better than 40,000 the past 3 years, but still looking for his first PBA title. Now Mike Durbin, winner of 8 titles, 15-year PBA member. It just didn't come up.
You know, Chris, Mike Durbin is an incredible individual. I mentioned that he has won with 3, 4, and 5 steps. The only bowler to do that. This week he's taking 4. But also he's one of the few bowlers that has won with a semi-roller on the bowling ball and also a full roller. So he's an incredible individual.
And Mr. Versatile covers the 4-pin as Berardi and his teammate warm up to the right. They'll meet the winner. We'll be back with Mark Fahy bowling here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas after this. Years past, and this year included, it's been individual competition. The scoring here in the Doubles Classic is like individual because the 2 bowlers sort of in essence alternate frames, but their totals of each frame shot will come up with a 1-game score. And now with a 4-bagger and a 31-pin lead, 23-year-old Mark Fahy teaming with Pete Weber. And a high hit. And oh goodness, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10.
That's the problem, Chris. You have to keep that ball going at a good speed, or else if you let up on it, you see the results. Pete had the big 4. Gil Sliker had the 4, 6, 7. And now here, Mark Fahy has the big 5.
So he went for the bundle and comes up with an open frame after 4 in a row. So now a young man that is 5 feet 7, weighs 135 pounds, and is 18 years old, is ready to shoot.
And Chris, that was a drastic mistake on Mark's part. He wasn't thinking clearly. He should have went for the 3 pins only to watch that count.
And look how that lead went from 31 to 6. Hey! If you wait long enough and beat the sweep, you get it, right, Dick?
Yes, you got to have patience, that's for sure.
That coming in the 8th frame of our first game is just like individual play. The winner advances, will meet the number 3 team. The winner of the next game goes against the number 2 team. And then the tournament leaders, Anthony and Burton. And Gil Sliker of New Jersey answers back. Just amazing that he does not have a PBA title.
Yes, we've noticed this throughout Gil's career, and he's an excellent bowler. He just hasn't gotten that right break at the right time, but he'll be along one of these days and be a great champion.
Now the team in blue, Durbin and Sliker. Got that strike working. This is a 9th frame shot by Durbin. Didn't seem as though it was coming into the pocket, but it did, and that's a double. And that's the lead of 4 pins.
Mark definitely needs this to take a 5-pin lead.
Right down to the finals of this first game live. That's a pressure shot.
Chris, here's a situation. Pete gets the first 2 in the 10th frame and a good count of 5 or more. They will shut out Mike Durbin and Gil Sliker. But count is the essence here. The first strike is very, very important to them because that makes Gil and Mike get the first strike. If he gets a second, then it's all over with.
And I can tell that one of the legends in bowling, his mouth getting a little dry as he watches his 18-year-old son. This is the pressure that his dad, Dick, has felt before. Leaving a 4-pin.
I think this from observing the hit a little bit too high, and he's lucky to get out of the split, which he's thankful for, and leaving the 4-pin.
Close first match. Just got it. And the winner of this match will meet Jeff Morin of Cleveland and Joe Berardi of Brooklyn, New York.
He definitely wants at least 6 pins here or more, Chris, to make Gil Sliker get the first strike in the 10th frame for the win.
So let's see what the beige team, Weber and Fahy, will do here now. Well, the young man who became a father for the first time on Thursday, Pete Weber and Mark Fahy now are sitting there shooting a 198, and now with that double up the 10th frame for Sliker, and as you saw the graphic, must strike to win.
Good shot too, Chris. Good shot. Oh, mackerel.
Would you believe a 7-10?
That's a bad break for the Sliker Durbin team, but that's what makes bowling sport it is.
And for Weber and Fahy, they are the winners, and they'll go against Berardi and Morin. Another tough match coming up. We'll give you the final scores. We'll pause a few moments to hear these messages from some of the people who are bringing you this week's telecast. The vast Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pete Weber and Mark Fahy have just won the first match. They now go against Berardi and Jeff Morin. That match coming up following this.
Folks, here's...
The PBA Doubles Classic first match has ended. Young Mark Fahy and young Pete Weber, 198. Durbin and Sliker, 179. So the youngsters now move up 1 toward that $22,000 first prize, and standing in their way in the blue shirts, Joe Berardi and much improved Jeff Morin. Berardi will shoot first on the left lane, and the professional bowlers in our telecast here on ABC have the option of wearing a wireless microphone and transmitter or not. Well, Joe, colorful young man from Brooklyn, decided to wear it. So maybe we'll get some comments from here as we begin the second game.
A very fierce competitor, Joe Berardi is, Chris, and he strives and lives for the good bowling that he's been doing, and his wife Debbie is really helpful to him too.
Now the 215-pounder, first shot here in the second game after a win. Almost broke up the 7-10, but not enough.
Same hit as Gil Sliker had, and getting the bad break of a 7-10 split. You just don't expect things like that in a pocket hit, but it does happen occasionally where the ball really drives at the back end and leaves a 7-10 as it did.
All right, covering the 10-pin, an open frame for Pete Weber and 23-year-old Mark Fahy. They won the first game, if you just joined us, over Gil Sliker and Mike Durbin, 198 to 179. And like our usual telecast of individual play, same as here in the doubles. The winner advances to go against the next ranked team. In other words, the winner of this game will go against Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson, the winner of that semifinal game against Nelson Burton Jr. and Earl Anthony.
A little high.
See, I thought he was going to get it in crossing over.
There again, he let up on his speed a little bit. Got the highest backswing on the tour at this particular time as we watched the ball hitting the nose pretty heavy and leaving the 310 split.
A young man that decided when he was 12 years old to become a professional bowler. Had his first 300 at 14 in junior competition. Here's the 310. Oh, yes.
Nice shot, son.
Well, time and patience.
There's an individual, Chris, that's really developed in the last 6 months. He's won over $50,000. This is his 6th appearance on Telecast in the last 6 months. And he's really went into a mental attitude training program.
Won the Seattle Open recently. Oh, a high hit, leaving the 3-6-10. We're speaking of Jeff Morin, 6'3", 175-pound, 35-year-older from Cleveland. We replay this shot.
5-step delivery, holds that ball to the 2nd step and then gets back into the swing, and the 3rd step, shoulder level swing, a little bit higher, and just didn't quite get the ball through in time and made him jerk a little bit at the follow through.
All right, well done. A little tap from Joe Berardi, his partner. And there you see the 11-pin lead that Morin and Berardi have. For Morin to win the Seattle Open, he had to defeat this man in order to move up, Joe Berardi. So here they are now, teaming up as doubles, and after 42 games, they finished 3rd in the field.
And they were very first competitors in their earlier days.
Well, the Brooklyn boy has 2 strikes now for his team. And up again is Mark Fahy.
Well, my advice to Mark Fahy would be put a little more speed on this ball to keep the line in the pocket so he can carry the pins better than the last time.
Crossing over, and it's the 3-6 for Mark Fahy. Like Pete Weber, non-winners on the Professional Bowlers Tour. So if they could go all the way, it would mean they both would become eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And if they can go to the finals with no PBA titles between them, they'd meet 2 fellows that have 51 championships. Burton and Anthony.
That's an awesome figure right there.
It really is. So it's a spare for Mark Fahy in the 3rd frame. And now Pete Weber will be shooting in the 4th. They bowl as one.
You know, Chris, these fellows have been down most of the time in their matches throughout the week, but they've always seemed to come through together and get the double when they need it, or the turkey whenever. So I think it's about time.
Oh, yes. And with that high back swing where accuracy is really needed, the young man Pete Weber comes up with a strike in the 4th. We're going to take a break here in Las Vegas to return for more live coverage. In this bowling establishment, there are 106 lanes. Today, here on ABC, using the championship pair of 59 and 60 for the live coverage of the finals of the PBA Doubles Classic. Here is Jeff Morin, a member of the number 3 team. They are meeting Mark Fahy and Pete Weber, 2 young men that defeated Gil Sliker and Mike Durbin in the first match, 198 to 179. Morin. Leaving a 6, hoping for a double with that strike working. That was a 4th frame shot.
He's having quite a problem with his timing, Chris. He's a little bit too early, and as we see the hit here, going to the heavy Brooklyn side and leaving the 6-pin. So he's really jerking the follow through off there at the last moment.
And you'll see them converse from time to time after a shot or after a frame. And remember, each bowler continues to bowl on the same lane on which he started in a game.
And they can reverse that the next game,
Sure.
whoever wins, Chris. That's the strategy, possibly.
Joe Berardi of Brooklyn. Boy, Joe is hitting them today. He is perfect thus far.
Yes, he's using a little more speed than Jeff Morin, and I think he mentioned to Morin when he came back to extend the arm a little bit more and use a little bit more speed.
And now Mark Fahy knows that they have a strike working. Fifth frame. 4-pin.
Good hit, a little bit high, using the 4-pin. You know, Mark and Pete are roommates on the tour. They travel together on the tour, so they know each other's games pretty well.
Next here on ABC, except in the Las Vegas area, Wide World of Sports, the WBA World Junior Welterweight Championship. It'll be live. Aaron Pryor going against Lennox Blackmore. Undefeated Aaron Pryor puts his crown on the line against the #1 ranked contender, Blackmore, and the United States Outdoor Track and Field Championship from Sacramento, California. Howard Cosell is in the vicinity. We know he's well, having had dinner with the young man last night. So he'll do the fight. By the way, his cut lip sustained in Detroit as we were doing the championship fights there. It is healed. Pete Weber in that 6th frame with a big strike and a very close matchstick.
Now, Jeff Morin, the last 2 times on this particular lane, has not completed his follow-through. He's been a little bit slow. So let's see if he makes the adjustment that his partner Joe Berardi offered. And you know, Jeff happens to be the individual that won the Seattle Open and beat one of our statisticians here, Larry Lobb, 224 to 210. So we know he's a tough bowler.
Been a real factor in Ohio competition over the years. And right there with that big double, increasing the lead now here in our second match to 23 pins. As his partner Joe Berardi is up, we replay the pocket hit.
And you see that he had that speed on that ball, Chris, and it really charged into the pocket, carrying the 10 pins into the pit. Not 1 pin laying on the lane.
Joyce, excuse me, Dick.
Joe Berardi has struck 3 times on this particular lane, and
Hold it 1 time.
And Joe continues to come up with the strikes here in our second match. Berardi now with and along with Morin with a 3-bagger. They lead by 33 in our second game. More of it after this. Sliker and Durbin 198 to 179. They're now against Joe Berardi and Jeff Morin, trailing by 33. However, Fahy has a strike up.
Chris, you mentioned the temperature outside was 115 degrees, and this causes the lane to break down a little bit more. So that's the reason the bowlers have to use more speed.
That looked like it was a sure thing strike, that hit.
That's the 10-pin menace of the game. That's what makes the game what it is.
So Mark Fahy, Chicago. Marks with a spare for his team. Still 33 pins, and Pete Weber is back up. Remember, they start on a lane and they compete on that lane only, each bowler, in this team competition.
And with the situation the way it is right now, Chris, the 33-pin difference, Weber and Fahy need to start striking right here.
And Pete Weber with an 8th frame strike. The defending champions, Tommy Hudson and Pete Couture, finished out of the money in 59th place, as we see Pete's fine pocket hit and strike.
And here's the highest backswing on the PBA Tour, Chris. The only person that comes close to that would be Wayne Zahn, who does not make the tour that much anymore. But the high backswing is really against the basics of the bowling game. But Pete happens to get by with it a little bit.
Jeff Morin asked our tournament director of all these years, Harry Golden. He thought he should be granted a re-rack. Denied. So Jeff just calmly walks up there and strikes.
He'll show him.
Oh, that's a 4-bagger for the Berardi Morin team that finished third in the overall competition. The winner of this match will go against Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson, and then against the tournament leaders, Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton.
Make it count.
Joe Berardi has done nothing but throw strikes here in this game.
He's perfect this far, and that sort of put the icing on the cake. It creates a win for Berardi and Morin. And with the 10-pin that Mark Fahy left in the 7th frame was very costly to them, because they had carried that. Pete could have struck out for a 237, which would have made Morin and Berardi bowl well in the 10th frame.
Well, Pete getting through with that strike, and for 18-year-old Weber and 23-year-old Fahy, young competitors, at least in this field of 5, they will not have finished 5th or last. They will have finished 4th.
And I'm proud of them, both of them.
Sure.
They've done well. But Morin and Berardi have just bowled that much better.
So Weber and Fahy have strung 4 here in the closing frames.
Yes, with this strike, Fahy and Weber will have a game total of 217.
This young man, your son, asked me before our telecast got underway what would happen if the 2 bowlers shot a 300 game. Would they get the 10,000? He's a financial genius. Of course they would.
He's like everybody else, Chris. He dreams about that money.
217 for Fahy and Weber. They won the first game over Sliker and Durbin, 198 to 179.
Okay, with a 10-pin leave and a spare, on the count of 10 on the count ball will give them a score of 239.
And that means they'll be going against Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson. Roommates, traveling pair, and they'll be tough. So we have a winner here. It is Morin and Berardi. They'll meet Baker and Hutchinson. We're going to take a break here in our live coverage of the PBA Doubles Classic in Las Vegas, Nevada. A 21-pin margin of victory for Jeff Morin and Joe Berardi, which means now that they will go against the number 2 team here in the PBA Doubles Classic, Baker and Hutchinson. Other finishers, 6 through 24, Dick Weber.
Well, we have Wayne Webb, the bowler of the year, Mike Albee, who won the PBA National Championship at the age of 19, finishing 6th. Shirley and Kelly finishing 7th. A. Goldman Wade finishing 8th. And Dixon and President George Pappas finishing 10th. As you see, the hot team of Mark Roth and Marshall Holman there. On down to Alvin Liu, one of our past champions. Fred Jeske and Sam Flanagan, past champions. And Steve Cook, our Firestone Tournament champion. And we go on down the line to see Randy Langfoot, the Masters champion, and finishing out with Mike Barish, Kevin Kraut for the 24th spot.
All right, and that team splitting the 1500s for the number 24 position. But today live, We have our teams battling for $22,000 to the winner. We go in match number 3, or this is the semifinal. The winner of it will go into the finals against the leaders, Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. Now Joe Berardi, who really was hitting the pocket and striking for his team in their victory by a score of 238 to 217 over Weber and Fahy. Shoots first, left lane. And of course, that was the lane where he shot all those strikes, Dick.
He's still perfect, too.
Yes.
Chris. He's still perfect. That's number 6 for him.
Their team had a total of 7 strikes in victory. And now we get a look at Tom Baker, 26-year-old. This, he's already arrived, but what a comer on the Professional Bowlers Tour. He's 5'8", 150 pounds, 2 titles, 6 years a pro.
This young man, Chris, is going to dominate the tour any time now. As far as I'm concerned, he has one of the finest games on the tour at this particular time, but got a little bad rap there, leaving the solid 4.
Yes, just 2 weeks ago, he defeated Mike Albee in the championship to win the $125,000 Pennzoil Open. And now his pal and traveling partner, colorful Joe Hutchinson, 31 years old, from Scranton, PA, 5'9", 150 pounds, 2 titles.
He bowled very well Wednesday and Thursday, and then Baker took over Friday and bowled well for their team.
Joe is mic'd as well, wireless microphone.
You see the ball is going to hit real thin, but he gets a good sideboard action, mixing the pins up well and carrying that 5-7 out, the last 2 pins to fall.
Now, Joe Berardi's partner, Jeff Morin, combining to win the last game. Berardi with a strike in the first. Morin, his partner, shooting in the second.
Leaving that solid 8. That's one of the worst taps in the world. You bury that ball deep into the pocket and leave that solid where the 5 and the 8 kiss, the 2 and 5 kiss off. And as we watch the profile of Jeff Morin, it's a shuffle, holds that ball to the second step, and then gets it back into the third step, and really reaches out with good, crisp follow-through.
And a little skip at the line, staying on the right side. Jeff Morin marks with a spare after Berardi's strike in the first. Now, Berardi is back up. Cool customer.
Yes. This young man won the 1968 United States Youth Games at my establishment in St. Louis, Missouri. All right. Say first bad ball he's throwing, and in the 7 frames that he's throwing on in a particular lane, leaving the 6 pin, breaking up the split. As you see the 7 pin just falling and leaving the 6 pin.
And you heard Joe Berardi say, safe. It's a term we haven't heard on television for a while. Safe or out.
Is there still a strike on?
Yes, but not in professional bowling. Our final stop on a spring tour of 5. After 16 winter tour events. Wow. What do you call that type of strike, Dick?
That's a doggone lucky strike, Chris, where the pin comes out of the gutter off the sideboard and carries that 2 pin. It's a very unusual type of strike.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Voice of Joe Hutchinson.
I mean, forgot to let go of this.
The red team. 4-7.
Looking for the birds to fly around there, I think.
All right, Joe Hutchinson and Joe Berardi are meeting Jeff Morin. Tom Baker is Hutchinson's teammate. The rest of the third match will continue following this.
STP, a big name in racing for nearly 20 years. STP oil treatment on the track in some of the world's most expensive engines. Around the track, around the world, every day, tens of thousands of people get STP oil treatment. Get it for your car. Satisfaction guaranteed. Around the track, around the world, STP oil treatment is #1.
When I'm playing ball, I don't care how much I sweat. It's part of the game. Oh, rap.
But off the field, I want to feel nice and dry. And I want to smell nice. That's why I use Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. It's the wide stick. Effective protection with more dryness to help fight wetness. And it goes on dry so you can get dressed right away. So get on the stick. The wide stick.
Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant by Menace.
The semifinal game is underway. A huge crowd here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're looking at Jeff Morin. He and Joe Berardi, in defeating Weber and Fahy, have reached the semifinal against Joe Hutchinson and Tom Baker. The winner of this match, the Doubles Classic, will meet Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton for the $22,000 first prize. That was a good fifth frame strike by Jeff Morin, and we go down on the approaches, and Dick Weber has two guests.
With me today, ladies and gentlemen, I have Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr., the tournament leaders. And Bo and Earl, I'll direct it to you, Earl. Many people throughout the week have been asking, how did you two get paired up?
I couldn't get anybody else to bowl with me, Dick, so I ended up with Nelson. I don't know what his reasons are, but that's mine.
Well, there's one other question then. Your shoulders do look a little slumped. You were the horse this week, and Bo was the jockey. Is that correct, Bo?
Well, he knocked down most of the pins, but I told him to get me this last game. I'll show him how to win it. He's been second 5 times here, and that's the last time he's finishing second. He's got a winner today.
Okay, Chris. Good luck, fellas. And back to you, Chris.
Two men with confidence and big smiles. Well, they got a lot of work cut out for them in the next game. It's the final game, $22,000 the winner in the title. And they will either meet Joe Berardi and Jeff Morin or Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson. It's our third game. Berardi is up a strike, working, trailing by 9, can take it by 1. 4-pin on what has been a very good lane, the left lane. The bowlers, once they start on the lane, they stay on that throughout the game. The scoring is the same as an individual, as they somewhat alternate frames. Berardi cranks one, cover the 4.
One thing Joe Berardi does real well, Chris, is he throws very hard at his spares, and that way it creates a straighter line to the spare that he's shooting at and has less chance of missing that particular spare. Tommy Baker always having problems getting the thumb into that ball.
Time and patience paying off for Tommy Baker with a strike in the 5th frame of the semifinal game. This is the last of the 5 Spring Tour telecasts. We will celebrate 20th anniversary January 9th, 1982, as the Pro Bowlers Tour telecasts will continue next year. Joe Hutchinson.
Can I move it? Nah. I won't move till I get a split.
You know, one thing that keeps Joe Hutchinson going is his personality. It's a great personality, whether he's bowling good or bad. He's always jovial. He's always talking to himself. And he gets himself in a good mood, and that's why he bowls so well on the tour.
All right. It's a spare for Hutchinson. It's his teammate, Tom Baker. Berardi's teammate, Jeff Morin, is up. If you just joined us, the first match was won by Pete Weber and Mark Fahy over Sliker and Durbin, 198 to 179. And then Berardi and Morin, at whom you're looking, defeated Weber and Fahy 238 to 217. Spare working.
break. He stuck a little bit and yanked the ball a little bit to the nose, getting the 4-6, 7-9 split. And as we watch Jeff Morin going through his approach, you'll notice right at the last minute that he'll stick a little bit and have a little hop at the very end. This man has tried 30 sets of eyeglasses, Chris, and now he credits the success of his to the prism lenses that he has. And
all right, it's an open frame for Berardi and Morin. 25 pin. They are trailing Baker and Hutchinson. This is doubles competition, and since it is, if they can have 2 on the lanes, Dick and I have 2 up here, Larry Laub and Larry Lickstein.
That's right. They've doing quite a nice job for us up here and feeding us a lot of information.
Mm-hmm. Burton and Joe like that shot.
He's just a fierce little competitor, and when he gets in trouble, he just throws that much harder. It's a more direct line to the pocket, which is good for some people, but not everyone.
Now for the Baker Hutchinson team. Baker shooting in the 7th frame, spare working. Look at the time he takes. Dries that hand. Now the placement.
And he's just a different type of bowler than Berardi. He's more deliberate and much slower. And the more trouble he gets into, the slower he gets.
Gosh, that speed was so slow, wasn't it?
Yes. He feels that when he throws at a slow speed like that, Chris, that he never gets in trouble, which is very true. And that's the reason it makes him such a great bowler that he is.
That's a pretty good tip, Dick Weber. And speaking of tips, coming up after this game, spot bowling tips. Well, and there is a big double for Baker and Hutchinson. And that increases their lead to 35 pins over Jeff Morin and Joe Berardi, winners of 1 game over Weber and Fahy.
He definitely needs this hit here to have a chance, any chance at all, to win the game. Good hit, leaving a solid 4. Had it right there.
You know, all of us at ABC Sports were saddened yesterday with the passing of professional bowler and longtime friend Norm Myers of St. Louis. Our sympathy to the Myers family and to Norm's wife, Sharon Weber Myers, and their 3 children. Norm was 47 years old, and Dick, I know you really miss your brother-in-law.
Well, yes, I do, Chris, and just want to say thanks to the hundreds of people that called us and sent sympathy cards, and we certainly appreciate it. He was a great individual to me.
And now, Joe Berardi. That was a shot coming in the 9th frame, leaving the 4 pin.
Well, Chris, at this particular point, Tom Baker and Hutchinson just have to mark out. With any decent count, they'll win the game without any trouble.
Joe, showing his frustration, really covered that 4 pin, marking with a spare in the 9th frame. Now Baker and Hutchinson, leading by 36, have a double working, and it is Baker shooting in the 9th. And it's 3 in a row.
Amazing shot, just an amazing shot. He threw that ball much slower and went around with the ball much more than he did the previous 2 shots. What a touch, what a touch.
Now Joe Hutchinson, his teammate.
And Joe just casually walks back. He knows he's got a good partner, so all he has to do is make his spare. the way, Joe Hutchinson has changed his grip this week from his normal grip. He just wasn't quite comfortable with it, so Larry Lickstein drilled him up a new bowling ball, and it helped him out greatly. And also he went to a lighter ball to get more speed on the ball, so that's really something to make a drastic change like that.
So, Joe Hutchinson, team that finished second overall, they have eliminated Joe Berardi and Jeff Morin here. Now they will meet Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton for the $22,000 first prize. We'll be back for the final score in that championship match after this.
There's a hungry kind of feeling, and every day it grows. You know there's so much more to you than anybody knows.
Specialist Kevin Crowley is working with tomorrow's technology in the Army's newest tank.
Be all that you can be.
The laser determines target range and feeds it to the computer.
Be all that you can be.
It's just incredible.
'Cause we need you in the Army.
Edge Gel. Nothing shaves closer. Watch this demonstration versus foam using an ordinary credit card. First, I'll shave the left side with foam, the right side with Edge. It's the gel that lubricates as it lathers to give you a really close shave. Now listen to the foam side. Then listen to the Edge side. See why most men agree. Edge Gel lets you shave closer than foam, and nothing shaves closer than Edge.
Monday on Breaking Away, Cyril doesn't know his new girlfriend likes to play the field.
We're gonna marry her.
These elk are running for their lives trying to escape a fast-moving forest fire in western Montana. I'm Marlin Perkins. Stan Brock and I join the smoke jumpers of the U.S. Forest Service as they fight the fire and help save many animals. It's a memorable story of man against nature and man helping nature. You'll see part 1 this week when Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom presents Wildfire.
Sunday at 6:30, right here on KOBI.
He's into his 26th record-breaking year on television, and his rainbow of entertainment awaits you on The Lawrence Welk Show. Join the maestro Saturday nights at 7 on KOBI 5M.
KOBI in Medford, Oregon uses these translators to enhance our viewing area.
Semifinal matches ended. Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson defeating Jeff Morin and Joe Berardi 227 to 182. And now going into the final match in our live coverage from Las Vegas against Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. And speaking of Nelson Burton Jr., and is our regular feature on our Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, is the Rolaids Bowling Tip of the Week. And the thing that you must do in order to score well is to concentrate on the spot. So here's Nelson, recorded earlier, his tip on spot bowling.
The Professional Bowlers Tip of the Week is being brought to you by Rolaids.
The objective of bowling is to knock down as many pins as possible. To achieve this, you must understand the principles of both accuracy and trajectory. To demonstrate these principles of bowling, we have devised an ingenious teaching device, the ordinary Venetian blind. When it is open, you can see the pins. But when it is closed, I am forced to pick a spot out on the lane for my strike ball. Theoretically, if I throw the ball over that spot, I will get a strike. Over the yellow tape. Hey, not too bad. Well, our theory works on strikes. Let's see how it works on the 10-pin. As you can see, accuracy and control are the keys to consistency and good bowling.
The New York Stock Exchange. When people here get acid indigestion, and you know they do, they can't just stop. No wonder so many people take Rolaids, the tablet that gives millions 100% relief. Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief. With Rolaids, you can keep going. Rolaids. Rolaids spells 100% relief.
We're back in Las Vegas, the Showboat Lanes, live coverage of what now is the championship match. In the striped shirts, the tournament leaders Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. against the semifinal game winners Joe Hutchinson and Tom Baker in red. Head-to-head competition. And in that last match, Joe Hutchinson, at whom you're looking, and his partner Tom Baker shot a 227 to Berardi and Morin's 182. Hutchinson from Scranton.
And the one thing he did different this time, Chris, than from the last game, he used a little more speed and a little more loft to the ball to get the ball down the lane farther and cut out the ball from cutting sharply into the nose. Here's Earl Anthony.
And the man. It's won 36 titles in 13 years, more money than anybody, nearing the $1 million mark. Strike, and now his partner, 15 titles, 21 years in the PBA, Nelson Burton Jr. Nelson really crossed over.
He's really working hard. He really worked hard this week, Chris, and of course he's a little bit nervous bowling with a guy like Anthony. He just doesn't want to throw all the load on him, but he's a little bit tense right at the time. He's going to have to relax a little bit.
2-5. No.
5-9.
Yeah. So Bo, well, he took care of marking. Big smile after he came back. First time this year he's been on our telecast as a professional competitor. And filling in for Bo today is a longtime friend, Dick Weber. And Dick and I, along with you, watched Tommy Baker and Joe Hutchinson win the last game to get to this point. Strike up.
Bad break there, Chris,
Yes.
leaving the 8-10. Threw the ball a little bit harder than normal and didn't quite get back to the pocket like he wanted. As we see the replay here, he hit real thin on the head pin, just about leaving the 2-8-10, but a pin comes out of the gutter to knock the 2 down, leaving the 8-10 split.
So now with that open frame, it'll be tough to make up because they're going against two of the fierce competitors, Earl Anthony and Nelson Burton Jr. But Joe Hutchinson, Baker's teammate now, can rebound in the third frame.
He's wired in, Chris. He knows it, too. He has to get his partner primed up a little bit to get in there and get his game going. You know, Chris, this is the 6th time that Earl Anthony's shooting for a title match, and he's never won here at the Showboat Lanes. He's lost twice to Mark Roth, once to Wayne Zahn, Salvino, Mike Albee.
The bowler of the decade leads the 4-7, Earl Anthony.
I call Earl Anthony the left-handed Don Carter. Just fluid all the way through his approach, shoulder level backswing, and just rolls the ball without any effort whatsoever. A good man to emulate.
Perfection. Now Nelson Burton Jr. Anthony marking with a spare in the 3rd, and here's Bo shooting in the 4th. That's more like the Bo Burton. Big strike for the Anthony Burton team. 10-pin separating these two teams, and you'll see them shooting more after this.
The new world car, Ford Escort. It reflects advanced engineering.
This revolutionary piston focuses the fuel charge, contributing to better gas mileage ratings than VW Rabbit, Honda Accord, Corolla hatchback.
Front-wheel drive, smooth, 4-wheel independent suspension. Escort's the only American compact with both.
Escort is the best-selling car line in America.
Ford Escort, built in America to take on the world, and doing it.
Here comes Johnny Rutherford. two-time Indy 500 winner. To protect that engine at blazing speed, he runs with Pennzoil. Johnny's wife, Betty, she uses Pennzoil too. But she uses Pennzoil's regular-priced gas-saving multi-weight oil. Pennzoil, for cars like Johnny's and Betty's and yours. Gas-saving Pennzoil, quality in every extra mile.
Wide World next on ABC, 5 Eastern and Pacific, 4 Central. Except in the Las Vegas area, the WBA World Junior Welterweight Championship fight. Aaron Pryor, Lennox Blackmore, plus the United States Outdoor Track and Field Championships from Sacramento, California. Next on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Next to shoot in the finals, the championship match of the PBA Doubles Classic here in Las Vegas. We have Tom Baker, strike up, shooting in the 4th.
Strange thing, Chris, he adjusted, added some new tape in the commercial time there in his thumb hole to get a better feel and a different feel.
Okay. Would seem his style would require great touch.
Yes, he's very similar to Earl Anthony in speed. Just no effort at all to roll the ball, to throw the ball over the foul line. And that's great. Hutchinson out there giving his partner a little razzmatazz.
Double working, Hutchinson, 5th frame.
Lick.
Well, he's a loose competitor.
Definitely loose, that's for sure. There's Joe Hutchinson's earnings this year, $27,000, which isn't bad. Great competitor. Love the ball.
All right, spare for Joe Hutchinson and the Anthony Burton team will go to work now. This is the final match where the 4 men are bowling for $34,000. 22 to the winner, 12 to the runner-up.
And here's the man that everybody wants to bowl, because when they beat him, they feel like they've beat him the greatest. And I agree with him. He is the greatest today. He's just amazing.
Just like that, and Dick, the bowler of the 70 decades, and you, the bowler of the other decades, that's a heavy load to carry when everybody's shooting at you, right?
Yes. I hate to see him grit his teeth, because you know he's got to strike.
Now Anthony and Burton have a double working. Nelson shooting in the 6th frame.
Well, he's happy with that one, Chris. Very happy.
Yes.
Little thin, a little more speed than normal, but he gets a nice kick off the sideboard and carrying the 4, 5, and 7.
And now a 21-pin lead by Anthony and Burton over Tom Baker, who is getting ready to shoot here in the 6th frame, a spare working.
As we see the ball hit really light, really should have left the 2-pin, maybe plus some other pins, but a pin coming off that sideboard and carrying that 2-pin, that's the second kind of strike like that for Tommy Baker.
You can see one advantage in doubles competition, Dick. You're on a lone and you can relax the other person.
That's for sure.
Well, just like that, as they had done a little bit earlier, Hutchinson and Baker double. Cut the lead now to 11 pins against Anthony and Burton as we look at Susie Anthony. And Susie's husband now with a 3-bagger working, shooting in the 7th frame.
Interesting note, Chris. Earl Anthony beat Tommy Baker at the Rolaids Open at Dick Weber Lanes.
What lanes?
Dick Weber.
Oh,
Lane.
I was there. I remembered. Well, a little 6-7 here.
All right, Morris, give it a go.
But here, Nelson Burton Jr. say, come on, Pards, give it a go. He's got to go for it at this stage of the game.
The odds for a professional, 14 to 1.
I haven't made this split since 1956. Gave it a try. Nice try.
Real try. So the open frame comes in the 7th, and instead of leading, Anthony and Burton now trail by 3. So here is Bo.
And this is his first title match since he beat Matt Serena in Baltimore in 1980, Chris. And in fact, Matt Serena won last week in Tucson. So Bo's hungry.
Oh, yes. Big strike in the 8th frame, Bo Burton. And Tom Baker is quickly up. Baker and Hutchinson with a strike working in this doubles classic final game.
It's going to be interesting to know what Tommy Baker is going to do with this particular shot, because he's been light a couple of times, using a little bit too much speed, swinging the ball out too far. See if he tightens the line up with this particular shot.
Up a little bit. The screws are being tightened now with that 3-bagger and a 13-pin lead. But remember, Anthony and Burton will have a strike working when they shoot. But Hutchinson, who is tough, is up now for the Baker team.
This is an extremely important shot for the Hutchinson Baker team, because if they don't, Anthony and Burton could go all the way out and shut them out for the game and title.
This was the team that finished number 2, got into the finals with a 227-182 win over Berardi and Morin. And now Earl Anthony is up. Nelson Burton struck in the 8th frame. Anthony shooting in frame number 9 of the final game.
And this is a must strike for Earl Anthony to keep himself in the game, he and Burton in the game. Last time he was a little heavy and got the split. Holy mackerel. One of the most solid hits you can possibly have, and leaving the solid 9, where the 3 and the 5 as we kiss off and leave the solid 9. The ball deflecting to the left.
All right. The spare in the 9th, and now shooting in the 10th will be Nelson Burton Jr. And you see the 23-pin lead held by Baker and Hutchinson.
And he must strike out to force Hutchinson and Baker to mark. Just not in the books, Chris, leaving the 3-9-10 and losing the title match to Joe Hutchinson and Tommy Baker.
And there they are, the 2 bachelors, each with 2 PBA titles coming into this finals of the PBA Doubles Classic. And Burton and Anthony with 51 titles, the 2 of them. Such finality in bowling. 190 for Anthony and Burton.
And Chris, this will be Tommy Baker's 2nd win in a row, because he did not bowl in Tucson last week. He bowled in Los Angeles, won that tournament, and being a winner here gives him 2 titles in a row.
Teammate Joe Hutchinson this year finished 3rd in the Miller High Life Open in Milwaukee in March. They have a lot to smile about, because they'll be able to split $22,000, whereas Burton and Anthony will share $12,000 for being runners-up here in the finals of the first PBA Doubles Classic. All happening at the Showboat Lanes. 210 to 190 is the final score. Hutchinson and Baker have won it. We'll be back to meet the winners after this. Well, we're back again at the Showboat Lanes. And the final standings, you're looking at them now. Joe Hutchinson of Scranton and Tommy Baker of Buffalo. They are the winners in $22,000 with Burton and Anthony second, and so on down the line. Now, these two men may be wearing red shirts, but they're not in the red after their performance here today. Tom, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's been a great week here at the Showboat. I want to thank everybody here, and Mr. Monica and Mr. Kelly for having us.
Tommy was talking about Frank Monica, Vice President General Manager of Showboat, and the Chairman of the Board, our old friend Joe Kelly. And Joe, we'd like to get a comment from you. I know that you made this team possible. We heard a few of your comments on your wireless mic.
Oh, I hope you didn't print that one, but Chris, Tommy and I have been talking about this since last year. About, we said we were going to win it. And this is like, I mean, it's a deja vu, whatever you want to call it. It's really fantastic, and I want to thank Mr. Kelly, Mr. Monica, and everybody. And Tom, you did fail to thank me, Tom. But honestly, the guy got more lucky strikes today than I ever seen him get, and he deserves it, believe me.
Well, let's bring in the Chairman of the Board, Joe Kelly. He's got some money. He has a trophy. It's Frank Motica on your right, Tom, so no one's going to be slighted.
Joe, it's a pleasure to present this $11,000 check here to you.
Thanks.
And it's nice to have you with us again, and hope you'll come back next year and win it again. Yes, sure not.
I can cash this here?
Yeah, I believe you can.
Forget it.
Well, why not?
All right, it was 210 and 190, and we're going to come back here to the Showboat Lanes in just a bit. But right now we're going to go east, Joe and Frank, to the New York studios and host in the studio, Jim Lampley. Here he is.
With the winners of that PBA tournament.
Once again, the winner of the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic, Tom Baker and Joe Hutchinson, 210 to 190. Today's program was produced by Kurt Gowdy Jr., directed by Ralph Abraham, technical director Bob Bernthal, associate director Brian McCullough.
So we took turns of staring out the window at the dark.
Here you see some of the names, the technical geniuses, production, talented folks that have helped make our 20th year of the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast possible. We can't thank them enough.
What the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying,
Two young men who have produced it this year, Pete Englehart and Kurt Gowdy Jr. We've had three directors, John DeLisa. Today was Ralph Abraham and Larry Cavallina earlier in the year. And of course, personally I have to give my thanks to Bull Burton Jr., who unfortunately didn't quite make it today with his partner Earl Anthony, because these two men won it all. The $22,000 check, 2 trophies, and here on ABC's Wide World of Sports, except in the Las Vegas area, the WBA World Junior Wellness, Lennox Blackmore. And of course, with the championship bout, it'll be the U.S. Outdoor Track and Field Championships. That is Joe Hutchinson admiring the huge trophy from the Showboat Lanes. And a reminder that travel arrangements made through on a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people.